In the age of heroes, when gods walked the earth in human form and demons plagued the innocent, 5 brothers, the Pandavas, wandered in exile. Stripped of their kingdom, hunted by their cousins, they moved through the land in humble disguise. They came at last to a village called Ekachakra. There they took shelter in the house of a poor Brahmin, wearing the bark garments of ascetics and collecting alms like wandering mendicants. The eldest, Yudhishthira, bore his fallen kingship with silent dignity. Arjuna, the greatest archer in the world, hid his calloused fingers beneath dust. Nakula and Sahadeva, the handsome twins, moved unnoticed among the villagers. And Bhima, wolf-bellied, mountain-strong, son of the wind god, struggled to contain his immense power within the quiet life of a beggar. From within the Brahmin's quarters came sounds that pierced the heart: a man's desperate sobs, a woman's wailing, a child's innocent cries. Kunti, mother of Pandavas, widow of kings, moved toward the sound. What she witnessed would have broken a lesser soul. The Brahmin sat with head in hands, his sacred thread trembling against his chest. His wife clung to his feet, tears soaking his ankles. Their young daughter, barely more than a child, wept with them, and their little son, too small to understand death, brandished a stick of firewood with foolish courage. "I will kill the Rakshasa," the boy declared. The Brahmin spoke, his voice cracking like dry leaves. "There is a cave near the city where lives a demon named Bakasura. Every week we must send him a cartload of food, rice and meat and liquor, drawn by 2 bullocks, driven by one of our own. He eats the food, he eats the bullocks, and he eats the driver. Today," he whispered, "it is our turn." Kunti watched, and Kunti decided. She returned to her sons with fire in her eyes. "I have 5 sons," she said quietly. "One of them will go." Yudhishthira, ever the righteous king, objected. "Bhima is our strength, our protection. You would risk him?" But Kunti knew her son as only a mother can. She reminded them of Bhima's birth, how he had fallen from her lap onto a mountain and shattered the stone beneath him. She reminded them of the wax palace, how Bhima had carried them all to safety. She reminded them of Hidimba, the demon he had slain years before. "His strength," she said, "is equal to 10,000 elephants." Bhima listened to all this in silence, and when his mother finished, his face broke into a radiant smile, the first true joy he had known in months. "At last," he said, "a proper meal and a proper fight." Yudhishthira bowed his head. The matter was settled. Bhima would go. At dawn, a cart stood at the edge of the village, loaded with rice and curds, meat and liquor, pulled by 2 patient bullocks. The Brahmin family watched from their doorway, praying to gods they could not see. Bhima climbed onto the cart, not as a prisoner, but as a driver. His bark garments fluttered in the morning wind. His matted locks blew across his face. He took the reins, and he drove toward the forest. The path wound deep into the woods, past trees that had witnessed countless deaths, past bones that littered the ground like fallen leaves. At last, Bhima came to a cave, a gaping maw in the mountainside, surrounded by the remnants of 100 human meals. Bakasura's cave. Bhima stopped the cart. He looked at the food. His wolf belly growled, and he made a decision that would seal the demon's fate. "Why should he eat before I do?" he muttered, and he began to feast. Deep within the cave, 2 red eyes opened in the darkness. Bakasura smelled his food, but something was wrong. Someone was eating it. The demon rose. The ground shook. He emerged into the light, a horror given form, massive and hairy, with fangs like daggers and claws like scythes. His mouth stretched from ear to ear. His ears stood straight like arrows. His horns curved from his skull like the crescent moon dipped in blood. "Who dares?" he roared. Bhima looked up from his meal, chewed slowly, swallowed. "Your food is here," he said calmly. "Come, before I finish it all." Bakasura charged. His massive hand struck Bhima from behind with force enough to kill an elephant. Bhima did not flinch. He continued eating. The demon watched, bewildered, as this strange Brahmin finished every last morsel, wiped his mouth, and rose to his feet. "Now then," Bhima said, stretching, "let us play." Bakasura uprooted a tree, a massive trunk with roots still dripping earth, and hurled it at the stranger. Bhima caught it with one hand, snapped it in half, tossed the pieces aside. Another tree, another catch, another snap. The demon threw everything he could find, rocks, trunks, boulders. Bhima caught them all, returning each with interest. Soon the forest around them was stripped bare, as if a hurricane had passed through. Bakasura charged. The titans met. Their bodies crashed together like mountains colliding. They wrestled across the clearing, crushing the earth beneath them. Bakasura was strong, terribly strong, but Bhima was stronger. Slowly, inexorably, the son of the wind god gained the upper hand. He lifted Bakasura bodily and slammed him into the ground. The demon roared in agony. Bhima placed one knee on his back, pinning him like a butterfly to a board. One hand gripped his neck, the other seized his waist. And then, with a heave that would have moved mountains, Bhima broke the demon's spine. Bakasura screamed, a terrible echoing cry that rang through the forest and announced to all who heard it, "The terror is ended." He vomited blood. He collapsed. He lay still, huge as a fallen mountain, dead as stone. Bhima dragged Bakasura's corpse to the city gates and left it there, a gift to the villagers, proof that their nightmare was over. Then he slipped away into the darkness, returning to the Brahmin's house as silently as he had left. Yudhishthira awaited him. "It is done," Bhima said simply, and he collapsed into exhausted slumber.